The system's notification sounds. Change the mood of CA bar. Direct airflow drops by 40 points. The owner's destiny increased by 200 shots. CA school is still not out of question. Anesthetic. People who are related to the Air Force. A change could also lower his airflow and increase my destiny. Seconds later, he put on a sinister smile and thought, if that's the case, it's simple. He put his tea down on the table and said, I want to be loved. Attitude of bar CA Saint female. It's all so fast. Change yourself so quickly. You want me to forgive you. CA sounds like that. They start to get scared and sweat. The next second, she spoke up and did not dare. CA bar no, it's hard to get into the blue eyes of a man. It's all about showing my will. I hope you don't mind what happened today. The teacher took a cup of tea and asked the love with you like that. I don't regret turning my eyes to the Holy Land. You answered him like that. Bowing CA bar. Face down and answer the question. The CA bar cannot be changed. It doesn't matter if you and your father don't matter. The school heard that. He was very calm and quiet. Said nothing. Then the CA hesitated to say, sir. Close your eyes and continue. In fact, the physical nature of the CA bar is 9 occult sounds. No one knows about this except me. Just as the old school CA was about to pick up her tea. Then there's a notification. CA bar for the first time arises tame psychology. The airflow of the naked aphid decreased by 40 points. Host's life increased by 200. The end of the school saw that. Open your eyes and think. The 9 mysteries can be absolutely a crucible of substance. Proactively tell me. That's good enough. Just watch out for CA thinking like that. IP's airflow has lost more than 300 points. Combined with the circumstances of the Thai occult, and my condition, that say, CA bar on the contrary, very understand the general. She's a rational and intelligent woman. Then I tried to put my hand on my mouth and laugh. Then I thought cutting shallots. At the same time enjoy. It seems that being a villain is also very good. Put your hand on the table and say, the last man. CA school heard that, did not think any more. Then I asked. The 9 occult sounds are a smelting furnace. That's what you said. The hand of the CA bar is constantly shaking. She tried to hold her hand and said, this is the life of 1,000 years of our family. So what am I worth? The 2 cheeks of the CA bar flushed. Put your hand on your chest and continue. You just need to help the Holy Land. We got out of the bottom. CA bar cup agreed to dedicate itself. When the school heard that, it just replied, At the same time, I'm laughing and thinking. If the system is actively advancing to this door, she's already there. Is the air going down? The system's notification sounds. Current situation of the CA bar. With bare eucalyptus, if there's actually one more step forward, it's very likely to be swallowed by air. And the CA has her head down. He looks very sad. CA school heard that, frown, and try to hold back the anger. I thought goddamn it had another one. I soon thought there was no bargain. The stars in the sky, still endlessly glistening. At the end of the school I asked, please tell me this secret, will you? I am afraid to say out loud. Cal frowned and replied. Ka is very confident in the man. Suddenly, the school stood up. It makes the CA bar jump too. And then he turned around and said, it's about your rare physical. I guess I haven't heard anything today. If you want to borrow this opportunity, It moves me. Please come back to Cho. Phil bar CA. When I heard that, I stood up and was surprised. Seconds later, the CA bar comes up and hands out. Then you raise your hand. Now, when the CA bar is about to grab the hand of the CA, then you are thrown out. Cal frowned and glanced behind her. Then he reminded the saint, honor yourself. CA bar is currently sweating profusely. She hesitated to say a. You can only stand. Watch the school leave. And the soul inside of you comes out. And make a tease. Beauty rises to the door. It doesn't interest him either. The soul says that. This CA school certainly makes us suffer a lot. But the CA bar is sitting in a chair and sighing. CA, stick with your head down, and spoke in a very sad tone. Think about the morning in the hall. You guys didn't do anything wrong. But I was the first to judge. He is a bad person. The moon is full tonight. There's a voice. I blame the man. And the system's announcement boomed. The way the CA bar looks changes. Air stats up to 20. Destiny's index increased to 100. The school said with a sigh. This CA bar is self-generated. You're trying to convince yourself or something. Someone replied, if that's the case, then it's time to deal with bedbugs. There's a fire burning. It looks so hot. At the same time, he bowed his head and performed the ceremony. Then he said that just as the prince predicted, in the back of the world, there is a soul of an old trader who followed. I replied with. The next second, he tried to pass Lao's house. As soon as I see you, then the naked ape glowed his eyes up and frowned back. It looks scary. He was angry and yelled out loud, trying to punish CA. What are you doing here? I calmly replied, of course, I am here to visit you. Then the CA school looked at the ceiling with a very calm face and say that, not true, it's about seeing the fake power behind you. Yi Chen heard that. He started sweating and hesitating. What are you talking about? I don't understand what you mean. Try to close your eyes and say, stop pretending. Can this expression of yours fool anyone? He looked at the ring on the Aphrodite's hand. He asked if he still wanted to escape. How to hide this tail tip? It doesn't look like a fake Kwong. Right after that, there's a red light coming from the ring. Deem said that. I didn't mean to confront the prince. Then the plane flew out and asked, what does a man need to make it difficult for a sinner? As I see it, Chen Zuyan hesitates. Master Thun. The old school CA casually answered the misunderstanding. It is only curiosity that can teach Ra. This useless idiot, IP Bon. In the end, it's the gods. At the same time I was thinking, I can't believe it's not the old man. It's a billion. Seconds later, he pointed his hand towards the CA and screamed in a very aggressive tone. CA school, you say AI is useless. The school said that. There has been a saying about men show naked butt since ancient times. The wise bird chooses the branch that perches. The old man is always next to IP Chen. There is no talent that cannot be used. When she heard that, she frowned and suddenly thought. Next to cockroaches Sao, the naked eye is even more irritating. To speak cursing. Bitch tries to punish CA. You didn't just steal my CA. But now you dare to steal my master. And Deem. He was sweating and silent and said nothing. The school closed its eyes and asked, take away your CA. I don't think you should admit this, you should know. From the beginning to the end, it was her wish. The clam's eyes are starting to get red. He frowned and screamed loudly in anger. You talk nonsense. Then the CA school gently reached out and said, people should always move forward. This is the law of existence of the world. Withdraw word. The school pressed gently on the door of Lau's house. Make the scene of slowly cracking raw. Seconds after the door was broken. It makes me in the world not surprised. But roll your eyes up. The pieces of wood slowly fall down. Try to talk again and you. If you really want your master to live well, don't hurt her anymore. The ceiling right now was sweating profusely and frowning. The school slowly moved forward and asked, do you think a soul is dead? How long can we live in this world? I stood in front of you and said, let us say the old man follows me. I can't just heal your body. It even makes you go back to the top as before. Chen heard that. He looked worried and turned to look. The face of Deem. Right after that, IP Barefoot clasped his hands and shouted CA. This is my story with the Lord. You don't talk shit here. Can you believe I tore your mouth off? A notification pops up. Yi Chen's mood changed. Air traffic dropped by 20 points. The owner's destiny is 100. Just watch out for CA frowning and thinking. Then tried to punish CA saying, the old probably knows. Z faculty talking about the background of the deceased as the other aspects. You're also much better than the naked ones. Chen heard that, frowned and looked very worried. And then you focus on listening. The school continued. We know that eucalyptus can provide spiritual energy to nourish your soul. But at the current rate, he himself says to you, it's no different than a cage. Your feet are a reminder. Don't listen to him talk nonsense. He must be lying to that person. I am still very confused right now. And looked very upset. She began to fall into meditation. She thought that really his next stick SAO with real force of the CA. It's not that hard to kill an eel. You don't need a trick like that. Maybe I thought a lot. He's simply pulling himself to his side. I look at the old school and think. To be honest, the school did nothing wrong. On the contrary, it's this IP from the beginning to the end. Determined not to let go. Caused enough for him. Seconds later, the school asked, have you finished thinking about it? She closed her eyes and answered, little girl has ever received the grace of the naked. Of course, I can't leave him now. Yi Chen heard that, started to get really excited, and tried to chastise CA, just sighed and said, I'll give you time to think. If the old man changes his attention, death is an insult to me. We will not search anymore. Even lifted the penalty. The Holy Land allowed him to recover. His current position is not difficult. The school continued. As for the CA, we can also give it to him. Chen heard that. They just grind their teeth and hold back. The anger came back and I screamed. If you want to talk back, don't say that. I have received your will. Then watch out for 2 fingers. Create a yellow light and respond. The old man should think more first. I have a gift for you and I go. Next second, tried to take out a box. Surrounded by a yellow light. I put it in front of you and the world. He surprised the 2 of them, and he screamed. This is the box. Slowly being opened, and there's a blue jewel inside. The school said that. The ancient temple of the holy medicine of the god of knitting. The naked man turned around and reached out his hands. Then you scream. I'm clear, I'm all clear, and I'm trying to punish CA. You deserve to die. You don't want to humiliate me. They want to steal everything from me. The actor is holding a small box in his hand. Right after that, he glanced at her and said, but the most unexpected thing is that the one I trust the most, for a crochet, and stooped before him. My enemy. When she heard that, she frowned and became angry. I scream, you say something. All that we do. All for helping you get out of here. He reached out his hand and shouted. If you had just opened your mouth, you would have said every word for me. Then do as I say. Get the news out there. The actor's face began to become sad. She hesitated to say you. Then he looked at the box in his hand and said, if you most want to do that, then I will listen to you. The luck is slowly disappearing now. Chen was glad to hear that. The tiger is my master. I am sure you will not abandon me. The muscle is disappearing in a red light. The system's notification sounds. Effective. The schism of the monk's relationship appeared. Lift, 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 drop 80 points. The fate of the master of the 100 points. On the other side, someone asked him, if you want to be a dead man, why don't you just kill the naked bugs? The school is looking out the window. And ask the old man again, do you remember why I left the world? When he heard that, he frowned and hesitated. It's because of that great villain. Trying to punish, CA replied, no, wrong. It's because of a weapon from the 8th century. 8 wild devil-loving Kier. Then there's a weapon. It's surrounded by a red light. Then, aesthetic CA treatment attempts according to normal trajectory. It's definitely based on luck. To enter the museum. CA school tried to think, and then achieved the villains. I ponder my thoughts. Then Cam Trow went out on a road to build prestige. And then the school thought. But now, he's just a mouse to help us find treasure. A second later, he looked at the old man. And give orders. Keep a close eye on the ceiling. We need to be quiet for a while. The master bowed his head and answered. The old man understands. You said open up the end of words exchange system. There is a screen. Then you look at your personal information. Try to hold hands. Press the words public must preserve on the screen. And there's a message that pops up. Destiny is not enough. The law has not been able to open the law. Heaven level up uncollected 10 screens right now. To show up the information about the magic law. When the school saw that, they put their hands up against the chin and ponder. That can cause a monk to break through into the spirit realm. Just 50 points of destiny. Seconds later, CA raised his hand and gave it a very decisive thought. This goes, a message pops up. The God of mercy is the angel of God. Heaven has subtracted 1,000 points, and there's a yellow glow all around. To merry people of the late CA, you're also starting to practice Dharma right now. 3 days later, a strong Bao team came forward. And there's a voice. Yang spoilt locality. Millions of heavenly emperors, inexhaustible imperial court. Upper court pepper. To the holy master's occult doctrine. Hyan and CA Bar are flying on the middle. And look down. He spoke up. The 3 masters who sold the vestments came in person. The power is great. Suddenly, flying away with a giant monster. He stood with his arms folded and laughed. Then he screamed and wasted a few words. The Holy Land is based on the Holy Land. It's been occupied for 1,000 years. Consumer goods trade. He gave a sinister smile and continued. He's Zazified today. This spirit vessel, it should also be divided among other groups. Right, seconds later. Ocean damage, holy place. Millions of people will come and speak. Not the wrong love. Everyone is a subject to peak in the east. You take the initiative to hand over the most self-appointed spirit circle. We will not cut all the way back. If not. Without saying the full sentence, Hyan proved angry. That screams, the spirit vein is the 1,000-year core of our holy land. You can say that it is a spear. Your old friends really think the holy land is easy to bully. Suddenly, someone was holding the tower in his hands. He asked if the Holy Father's will was uncoordinated. He looked ahead and suddenly realized that. Inaccessible department. The Queen of England continued to speak. Do you think that? Tai Shin Holy Land, it can even be against our 3 families. He frowned and calmly replied. I don't know where you heard this from. But you are real. The old man is no more. The Holy Land will have nothing left. He stood behind him and hesitantly said CA. Then the magician turned to ask. The young man has not yet left. SAO*CA bowed down and hesitated to answer. Last time I made you lose your heart. Now try not to help. It's easy for us to understand. Tai Hyan. I gritted my teeth and was amazed. Then what did you say? The market frowned and spoke up. Soon heard, the Holy Land and the world have a relationship. Is not. The woman sitting in the chair also responded. The world with the Holy Land is very different. Based on what kind of strength Hyan has. Next second, the insufficient department, infinite tower, surrounded by a yellow light. Go up and say, there is no heaven, we are here. Even if the scenery comes today, I will fight him too. Millions of heaven and destruction. You look amazing when you see that. To the point of sweating and thinking. Air does not have to say. He was lost in battle 1,000 years ago. Infinite tower hovering high. And emits a yellow light. So dazzling. The Lord is still not afraid to think. Try to master if the stitcher comes out. You can only risk it here. I suddenly realized that the situation was not right, so ran away and say, my father, now I'm going to pray. So the CA bar is gone, leaving behind the fight. Insufficient room to ask Tai too. You're really for the spirit. I want to destroy the gods. Tin Hyman gritted her teeth and frowned. Then he hesitated to say a little waste of words. Next second, 2 fingers up. Create a yellow light and stubborn exclamation. The tower never ceases to glow. The helpless department screamed, if I want to die, I will be perfect for you. Suddenly, there's a colorful light all around. Take the tower. Those colorful lights. It's all over the space. People with monsters around them. I was surprised to see that. To the point of sweating profusely. At this moment, the devil has a smile on his lips. And say that this is the case. Insufficient is not surprising, to the point of gaping and screaming endlessly. A Paddy frowned and wondered. This power must also be on par with the original landscape. Maybe the old man didn't die at the same time. I tried to puff out a white smoke and wonder. This is the power of the SAO. Then the late CA school said that. Looks like you've come enough. The school at the time seemed very satisfied and continued. Next play a match. CA bar trying to run fast. Towards the front room. CA bar is running and thinking about Static, the master of the other tribes. I must be a little scared. Before I invited the late Mr. Ra. You've got to hold on. Suddenly, there's an AI that took the CA bar's gagged arm. You can't help but roll your eyes up. Rao is Chen. He put his hand to his mouth and said that I. She grabbed the clam's hand and suddenly thought. AP Bear bar CA tree closed and hesitated to say. Why did you come out here? The woman clasped her hand and replied. I'll explain. I have to get you out of here. Out of this sacred fiery furnace. Suddenly, the CA bar is released. That act made the world look amazing. But look away, look at her, and roll your eyes up. CA bar adjusts the hand joint and seriously says, I will not leave the Holy Land. You don't even understand. Chen started to feel worried when he heard that. He reached out his hands and shouted CA. It's about time. I am still so conservative. I really think that you can borrow from the school to save the Holy Land. The naked aphid's eyes rose red. I curled you up and hesitated. Or I was under the pressure of the old school, CA. The CA sounds up. Put your hands over your chest and shout in anger. Shut up, you didn't force anything from beginning to end. All of us are not pure minds. Do whatever it takes to make him like it. Intent to take color in exchange for peace, for the Holy Land. Aphids opened their eyes wide and hesitantly called the CA bar. Next second, CA bar was in tears and said, out of all the anger in my heart, to crush my last bit of self-respect. You're happy, aren't you? Where do you think you are based? I will betray you. Where are you going to leave from here? It is the name of the wicked. I think that now I've started to lower my voice. The Lord has given you 15 perhaps. That the moment of 1,000 pounds hanging hair like that. What have you done for us? And the ceiling is always focused on listening to you. Then the CA wiped all the tears from his face. And talk about the ceiling. Your self-interest is true. It makes people hate. Suddenly, the ring on the naked IP's hand lit up. You speak up. Let's go naked. And the ceiling right now, still not accepting the truth. It says no. There's no way this isn't the CA bar we know. Definitely try. CA school used some kind of magic on her. At the same time, the school received a notification. Bear IP and the hostess have exposed each other. The airflow of the eucalyptus decreased by 50 points. The airmaster's fate point increased by 250 points. When he saw that, he gave a sinister smile. And say that the time is right. Suddenly, the door slowly opened. Make a loud noise. CA and Chen sound like that. They all look at the door. I'm starting to get scared and scream bad. CA gritted his teeth and thought, it is absolutely impossible to try. I can see you and I appear together. Next second, she took out a sword. And it creates a blue light. The sword pointed straight at the naked eel. I can't help but be surprised, but roll your eyes up. Then the sword crashed straight into the naked man. It makes me bleed a lot. The dead are now bleeding endlessly. And the CA bar is still holding the sword. Is definitely piercing the ceiling. The naked aphid's whole body trembled endlessly. He seemed very surprised and hesitated. I still have my CA. Let's remind the kids to go fast. Cal frowned and said, sorry, we need to clarify the relationship between the two of us. All the blood on the ground right now is blood. I'm slowly moving back. And pulled himself out of the sword. There's a red light coming up. Surrounded by the wounds of the naked aphid. Then, that red light surrounded Yi Chen's people. He looked down and looked very sad. Aphrodite gave his sharp eyes. Look ahead, and said that if it had been. Our days are long. Next second, Bear Eep left and left the CA bar Phil alone. Put the sword down and watch the starlings fly away. Suddenly, a voice boomed out of the sky. When you hear that, open your eyes. It looks amazing. CA turns around and hesitates. Miss CA made you 7. The school responded. You did as well as the next time I saw you. I'm afraid that between the two of you, there will be a dead end. Don't stop regretting. He looked sad and said, No regrets. CA bar if you have decided to follow the prince. Of course, sooner or later, there will be a day. Suddenly, the school tries to rub the head of the CA bar and respond to that action. You made her face turn pink. Seconds later, she hugged the CA bar in her lap and softly said, After that, your business will be my business. The sword that the CA holds in the hand, slowly falling to the ground. You're still alive right now. And tried to chastise CA whispered. If today, the CA bar was exposed to the naked Eep. Later on the opposite, I don't have to be cold to her anymore. CA school looked at her with loving and thoughtful eyes. If she's got high-grade air on her, maybe let us use it. On the contrary, it's not a bad thing. CA school and CA bar now, still hugging each other forever without letting go. Next second, the system's notification sounds. Air transport switch. Master's luck increased by 60 points. Destiny increased by 300. I think that's aesthetic. What is this? A way to increase the pressure point. The Prince of Heaven is captured. People with large airflow can also be SAO. CA's eyes began to sharpen. I think that. See if there's another way to go. And then CA raised her head and screamed. Sir, we are here. I want to ask for help from the school. CA heard that. She grabbed her hands and replied. What we already know. There we are. They couldn't move a single hair of the Thai legend. The Holy Land at the same time. The thunder is still standing against the other elders. The thunder is not free from worry, but frown and ponder something. The celestial market clasped his back and laughed. Tell him about this. We don't want to mess around unsightly. If the old lady is still alive, don't let us burn for a second. He started sweating and said, I don't know where you got this information from, but the high priest of the deity. We are gone. If you really want to hear that, ask. The original wave was. Put your feet up and say it loud. Let's pretend to be the devil. Seconds later, trying to blaze out a colorful light. And scream out loud. 3 million people. Insufficient and insufficient to hear that. Roll your eyes up and the beauty department is here. Watch as CA slowly hits the water. Then try to grab the CA stick. Standing in front of the thunder, it made you look very surprised. Then you asked, people from any country bother me in prison. Spend this frown and roll your eyes up. Look ahead. Right then, spend your pointed hands straight ahead. And laugh out loud. And then he screamed. I said, this is fantastic. The rescue you mentioned. Is this unclean-nosed kid? The Holy Land has been destroyed to this extent. Frowned and replied, if I were you, I will be honest. Take back what you just said. Because this great man, you can't be guilty at all. Seconds later, it's going straight ahead. at extremely fast speeds and scream guilty or not. Don't try to know. The whole school of CA right now, surrounded by a purple glow. It looks scary. It's too dark. Continue to plunge straight towards the CA campus, like a hungry tiger. And then a very intense battle took place. The two of them started fighting. To blow up one, it's a really big blow to the CA guy. But you stopped me with your hand. I can't help but be surprised and scream. What? CA school tried to gently roll and gripped the hand of Avalokitesvara, made him grimace. Next second, the amulet's sleeves were torn off. The drops of blood on his body non-stop spraying out, and he's still trying to break his arm. At the end of the school, one more hit caused the battery to drop 10 meters away. He is still in a right now. But roll your eyes up. The market and the homeless see that. It was silent for a long time. His hand was seriously injured. He hesitated to say, Feng Hap seen. The homeless department frowned and said in an unbelievable tone, It's impossible. Eastern wilderness, holy Why land. Is there such a young landscape? Then, the infinite tower in his hand and continued. Having a child is a good thing. But you also have to understand, no matter where you come from, the best is, don't stick your nose in the matter of the Holy Land. The school CA calmly dusted off the dust on his hands and responded, From now on, Tai. The Holy Land is our business. CA sound so loud eyes raw and hesitated to say. The prince also, top Tai. He clasped his hands and was delighted. The poor man now grimaced and said, If you mean to die. So the Bible won't say much more. Then the homeless department screams. Then he put his hands together and unleashed a yellow light. And millions of sky with the dissipation. It's also straight ahead. Angel Mantra Market. It creates a blue light all around. Take the sword in your hand and frown. Then he asked, Don't even care about it. And hold the sword in your hand and jump up. Then he screamed. The kid saw the last trick. CA school is still very calm and gently raised hands out. The school held out its hands in front of him. Make him stand still in the air. Then 1,000,000 people raised the sword. I'm going to stab the CA in the back. But I found out. He reached out his finger and touched the sword. Then the CA school easily dodged the sword. And millions of times it seems to have been tried. The school is in complete control. And the insufficient department doesn't stop reciting the mantra and scream at me. Next second, the tower was right above the head of the CA campus. When you see that, you can calmly say, Oh, try. CA school has now fallen into the position of the incompetent department, and there's a yellow glow all around. Take the tower. I can't help but scream out loud when I hear that. Try to. The homeless department laughed and looked satisfied and screamed. If you are more than human, you are better. Since then, there have been countless geniuses. But it can be a name. Just count on your fingers. And he's got a sword on his back. And put on a sinister smile. He said that? What I don't know is the sky is thick. Really think that. Only he alone has the power of the landscape. You can take another enemy, Ba. CA Bar turned to look Hyan and panicked. He said, I tried to kill him. Tint Hyman grinds her teeth and frowns. He said in a voice filled with anger that deserved death. If there weren't countless towers here, then they can make Sao can touch the young man? The poor man asked them, Do you have anything to say now? He grabbed the sword and continued. What more wasted words? Directly kill him, then you can go into the control circuit. That suddenly in vain, the tower appeared cracks. Make the insufficient department show.